Hello, my name is Don and welcome to another sort of football discussion video I'm going to do. I said the last time I done one of these I would do more if the reception was good. The reception on that was phenomenal, so I'm now bringing it back. And we've got a big talking point on the fact that, as you can see, we're in Hampden, so we know we're going to be talking about the Scotland manager. Just to go back to the last video I made it about Pedro Caixinha. I felt he had 3 games to save his job. He's won 2 of them. I didn't see the game on Friday night, so I don't want to go too much into it. Because that'd be unfair. The Hamilton game, we started really poor and then grew into the game, and reports I'm reading of the performance on Friday night showed a drastic improvement, so hopefully he's now got the squad starting to gel in a way that he can continue on. I feel my video was maybe seen as premature by other Rangers fans. That's not the case in my opinion. I feel it was timed fairly well. It was sort of a make or break if it was going to happen. New manager has to come in now, get a couple of months to assess the players, and then rebuild in January, or bring in January to complement with the players he's got for the summer, and a big change in the summer. Pedro obviously is now starting to get the best out of these players, I think, from what I'm seeing and reading, so hopefully that is now going away. The talking point of this video though, however, will be the Scotland manager's position. Now, I said at the end of the last campaign, the European Championships campaign, I would have let Strachan go then. SFA decided to renew him, and then he started this campaign horribly. And again, I'm like, I think it was 4 points from the first 12 he achieved. And I'm like, he needs to go. He's not playing, at this point, he wasn't playing Lee Griffiths. Stuart Armstrong wasn't in the squad. I think he was still doing quite well under Brendan Rodgers, should have been getting a chance. There's other lads, even now, that I think, how are they not getting a game for Scotland? John McGinn's one of them that I hear quite regularly, and I agree with a number of people saying that. Callum McGregor still can't get into a squad, and a logical choice for Scott Brown in this squad, ironically, was Callum McGregor. And the core of the Celtic team was not, until it was really enforced on Strachan, was not the core of the Scotland team, and that was for me a mistake. I'm saying that as a Rangers fan, that the core of a successful Scotland team has always been Old Firm. Right now there's not a core that you can take from Rangers, it has to be core from Celtic. And Celtic are by far the best team in Scotland right now, with a number of good Scottish players that should have been at international level. So I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, once he got that together, he got it right. We took, I think it was 14 points from the last 18. We just missed out on goal difference, and if he'd started better, we would now be in the playoffs. And it strikes me as bizarre now. I never changed my opinion. I felt Strachan should have gone a long time ago, and that opinion never changed. I'd have still let him go. But it strikes me as odd that he can have an average last campaign, poor start to this campaign, and all through that the SFA, no, he's the man. And then we as fans accept that because they're the people that make the decisions. We get behind him, we try and support him as best we can, despite the fact that, in my personal opinion, I wanted him to leave. I would still hope that he won games, because I still support my country. And then when he has a successful spell, that's when they pull the trigger and say, no, you're no longer the right man for the job. I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense to me. It's happened, and in a way I've got what I wished for at the start, so I guess I can't complain too much. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. However, I'm now looking at the favourites. So David Moyes, at current time of recording, David Moyes and Malky Mackay are the current favourites. I would rather not have either of them, to be honest. Malky Mackay I think's up there because he's been given the job interim, but at the same time he was the guy who was already within the setup. McGee was let go at the same time as Strachan. McCall's still in the setup, I believe, but he distanced himself. He's obviously got commitments to Bradford, and he said, I want to focus on Bradford. It's maybe a bit of a shame that we can't approach a manager that's at Bradford and have him be interested in the Scotland national job, but admittedly Stuart McCall does have very, very strong links with Bradford, so that is more than fair enough that he wants to continue that job and hopefully make Bradford successful. The next favourite is Sam Allardyce, which strikes me as a bit odd. He is 91. I'm actually just going to bring this sheet across here so I can look directly at you as well. I'm looking at it. You've then got Alex McLeish, Paul Lambert, both at 14-1. Alex McLeish has been there in the job before and done very well in the job before going to Birmingham. And he's not had a club job for a little while, I don't believe, and when he has, it's been abroad, been in Belgium, not Germany, and Egypt at times. Again, it doesn't strike me as a man who is really wanting to go back into international management. Paul Lambert, I'm a bit hit and miss on. He'd had a successful couple of years, and then he's had a bad few years since then, since leaving Norwich in particular. And for me, I never really rated him as a manager, to be honest. That was including his time at Norwich. I thought there was always, in my opinion, better options, but at the same time he was so successful with them, I couldn't blame them for wanting to keep him. McInnes would be my personal favourite. He is currently the fifth favourite. It's 5th favourite at 16-1. The issue with him is he just signed a big new contract with Aberdeen. Are they really going to just let him go to the Scotland national team for very little money? That is not going to be the case. Regardless of how much they want Scotland to do well, they're going to want to keep the manager that's got them fighting for second year after year after year. Michael O'Neill, also 16-1. He is the current Northern Ireland manager. I find this one strange, and to be honest, the reason why I find this one strange is because, yeah, it would take him, but why is he going to come to Scotland? Right now he's got two players on the Northern Ireland team that would walk into our team, and Johnny Evans and Stephen Davis. There's probably a couple of others that would be there or thereabouts. And he's got a team that has very little expectations, getting to championships, getting to the playoffs again. And for me, why is he going to leave that for a pressure cooker of the Scotland job? A job that comes with a lot of pressure, that hasn't qualified for a national championship for 20 years now. Say national, I mean international championship for 20 years. Yet we haven't done that, and that is the expectation. For me, it would be a guy I would happily take, but I just don't understand why he would take the job. There's another lad, Bruce Arena, at 16-1. I've honestly never heard of the lad. I probably should have looked him up before I'd done the video, but I wanted to focus on the guys that I did know. Ali McCoist is next at 20-1. Again, I'm a bit hit and miss on that. Again, he's been in the Scotland setup before. He was assistant manager to Walter Smith when he was very successful in the Scotland role. So part of me would see it like that, but at the same time, tactically I thought when he was with Rangers he was extremely poor, and his signing policy was also very poor. I don't know how much of that was him or the board. And then you've got Tommy Wright, Alan Stubbs, Stuart McCall and Scott Gemmell, John Collins, Steve Clark and Neil Lennon, all at 25-1. This is as far as I'm going to go because the names after this do get a bit silly. Steve Clark I wouldn't mind. Neil Lennon, don't really like him as a Rangers fan, but again, his managerial record speaks for itself. He's doing very well with Hibs just now. I think he's already said he's not interested in the job, but either way, regardless, John Collins had an okay spell. He's been in different roles since managing. Last time I knew he managed was Hibs, and I didn't really think he done particularly great there. So again, that'd be an interesting choice, but again, he knows what it's like to play for Scotland. As a player, he was different class. Scott Gemmell, McCall. I don't know too much about Scott Gemmell. Alan Stubbs had a horror time at Rotherham, so I'd put him out for me. McCall, we already said he's not interested. Steve Clark, I would take. I think he done okay when I've seen him as a manager. I've not seen him in a few years, but the last time I remember seeing him, I think it was West Brom. He done quite well. And Tommy Wright, I've always said I wanted him to be the man that got the Rangers job. If he was interested, then that would be something I'd be more than willing to take. And I think his style of play would really benefit the Scottish national team as well. So that's who is the bookie's favourite. So for me, it'd be McInnes and Wright again. I'd be looking at. And again, with maybe McCoist in there, just because of what he's done, and the same with McLeish and Lambert. Lambert would be my least preferred of the five that I've mentioned, sorry. But at the same time, I would understand why he would be picked. Other names I've heard mentioned, not in that bookie's list, is people like Barry Ferguson, who would have nowhere near the job. His last job was Clyde in League 2, and he never got Clyde out of League 2, despite having one of the bigger stadiums, one of the bigger potential fan bases, and a fairly decent team. So I think that rules him out immediately. He was linked with the Rangers job as well, which I thought was quite bizarre. But at the same time, when you listen to what he says about football, he does know what he's talking about. But I think he'd be an extremely unpopular choice for a vast majority of Scotland fans, simply because of the situation he had with Alan McGregor. I think it was during George Burley's tenure. So for me, I would like to see McInnes get the job if it's possible. If not, probably Wright, then McLeish, then McCoist and Lambert in that order. Moyes, I would like to keep away from the job simply because I just don't trust him. He's not had a good job since Everton. he's not done. Well, I say he's not had a good job. He's obviously had good jobs since then, but he's not done a job that stands out and says that team did better than what they should have. The Man United team, I get, was in transition. I get he should have had more time. I get that he wasn't a favourable pick with the fans. He was the sort of Alex Ferguson choice. And that may be why he comes to Scotland. That might be a big reason for that. But for me, personally, I don't think he should be anywhere near it. Malcolm Mackay, his managerial record isn't particularly outstanding. You know, he's had a couple of good years with a couple of teams, but his managerial record since then and before then was fairly average. He's in a role just now that he's doing a good job, and I believe in sort of trying to sort out this infrastructure for Scottish football to bring more young players through. I believe he's doing a very good job in that role from what I'm reading, so I would like to see him continue on in that rather than going into the managerial job. Elsewhere, I don't think there's any outstanding picks. I think really if Scotland want an outstanding manager that's a big name or a bigger name, they have to go to a foreign manager, and again, is the likes of Rudy Van Gaal, Gus Hiddink really going to take on this role? I don't believe they will. So that means we're into the second tier, and I'd rather have a Scot than the second tier of a foreign manager who maybe just takes it to boost his CV a little bit. But even then, why are they taking that to boost their CV? For the same reasons Michael O'Neill, in my opinion, shouldn't take this job. That will end this video anyway, guys. Let me know who you'd like to see get the Scotland job in the comments down below or on Twitter. The link for that will also be in the description, and I will hopefully catch you all next time.